Thank you for joining us. This is Health Your Own Way podcast, and I am your host, Akins. Welcome to another episode. Today, we'll be talking about how eating healthy does not have to be expensive. Yes, we said it. It does not have to be expensive. So my guest speaker is Paige Penick. She's a registered dietitian nutritionist and a certified personal trainer. So I'm really glad to have this conversation with you, and thank you. Anything you want to add before we start?
No, that was fantastic.
Appreciate that. And I guess, when I said, eating healthy doesn't have to be expensive, let's first talk about nutrition and like healthy eating, right? Like, for you, because we say it doesn't have to be expensive because a lot of people assume it's expensive. Why is it important to eat nutritional dense food for one's health? Like, I guess we have to understand that concept first, and please provide that feedback if you don't mind, please.
Yeah. So I would say they're kind of two separate things, the immediate now and also the long term. So when we talk long term, say that first, because I think it's less appealing than get the lame stuff out first. The long term, we're talking about potentially keeping away disease, decreasing your risk of disease, which doesn't pay off right now, but like maybe that means, decreased medical bills. No, there's a lot of maybes here, but it also means maybe, when you're in your 60s, 70s, you're feeling better than, it's the long-term payoff, like this.
I get what you're saying. Like you have to think of the future. Like, you're not going to see the actual results now, but you have to understand that, it is now they have to make the change to see the long-term benefits. And you're right. Nothing's guaranteed in life, but it's a lot. But, giving your body the opportunity to giving nutrition helps you feel better as you get older. That's what I understood from you, Paige, right?
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Perfect. And I will say though, current now, there are things that you can see. Like say there are lots of people I work with who aren't eating, who are eating like once or twice a day. And let's talk about energy, how you feel. People are like, oh, I'm so lethargic. You can address that with nutrient dense foods. People talk about cravings or overeating, really wanting sweets. That is 100% that can be addressed right now with food, nutrient dense foods. So there is definitely stuff too that can pay off now.
Appreciate that. So then let's get down to it. Why do you say it doesn't have to be expensive? Like, what are some tools that you can, provide us today that our audience can be self-aware of that shows that it doesn't have to be expensive?
I blame media and celebrities so often for stuff.
Really?
Yes. And there's a lot of misinformation.
Okay.
We're sold what's like hot, like here's this little thing, and there's this little hot byline or hot story, like news
Like the
story.
fad, like a little fad food, yes.
Yeah, but like canned beans, for example, super nutrient dense food. Depending on where you live, that might be less than $1. That might be like $1 something. There's a couple servings in there. That's a really awesome, valuable food.
Okay.
Frozen and canned fruits and vegetables, those can be great choices. I think a lot of people think I have to get fresh, I have to get organic, it has to be this, it has to be this. A lot of times, that's where you're getting the pricier stuff. So if we ignore the stuff and the have tos, there are options that are nutrient dense that are rather much less pricey per serving.
I see what you mean, because I guess when you mentioned that you kind of blame it to celebrities and stuff, I can see why you said that. I can see why you said that because it's true. Like they're there to make money. Okay, that's all it is. They're there to make money, right? And again, they have a bit of money to spend on more pricier form of organic food. And I think as a society, majority of us aren't, one percenters. We have budgets and we have family, we have kids to feed, right? So I think what I understood from you is that there's opportunity to find certain type of food that are not per se organic, but they can be found in canned food. There's vegetables out there that you can actually buy in, I guess, would we say like a flea market or not a flea market? Is that flea market? Would you say flea market or like a food market?
I
The food
didn't.
market?
Maybe could.
I don't know. Okay. Maybe you can find a flea market. I don't know. Or a food market, depending on where you live, basically.
Yeah.
Depending on where you live.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, okay. Can't you just basically grow your own food then? If you think about it?
Yeah. that's also a fantastic option because there's so much work involved and you need room. A lot of people don't do that. But yeah, if you want to talk about spending less money, 1000%, you can grow your own food, go for it.
I would do that. Like I think for me, you don't need a big garden, but like there's certain people that can grow like vegetables. Like vegetables are the most common one, like tomatoes, stuff like that. And I think a lot of people assume that you have to have the high end kind of vegetables like kale or those ones that are very expensive. But if you have like celery is good, cabbage is good, tomatoes are good, like red peppers are good, and those ones are not overly expensive like other type of foods that you hear that are supposed to be superfoods. You heard of superfoods that basically make it so. Okay, let's step back. I get where you're going with this now. I get it more clearly where you're going because I find that as a society we see a lot of things online that are superfood that are it's supposed to be help with and help you lose weight, this and that, and then people look at that and they're saying, okay, well I can't afford that, and that's the only thing that I can eat because that's what's healthy. But as you said, there's options out there that are less expensive that you can eat that are healthier for you. Is what I understood. Correct, Paige?
Yeah. Yeah. And I also want to note, just because I didn't mention it also, like frozen vegetable, so frozen, for example, are as nutrient dense, if not more nutrient dense in some scenarios than a fresh. We have put fresh on a pedestal.
Okay.
And not that fresh is always more expensive. It depends. But like, and you mentioned too, like these superfood things, it's blown out of proportion. Like a lot of people just couldn't use more vegetables and fruits. Like it doesn't need to be a specific one. Like you don't have to have kale, especially if you don't like it. Like
I don't
just
eat kale. I really don't eat kale.
you're
Like
okay.
it's
You're okay
not.
without it.
Life is good without it right now.
Really, it's about color. Like if
Okay.
just throwing it out there too, different colors. Like if you only eat red vegetables, throw in some green, throw in some orange. Getting in the color variety is an awesome place to start.
But what do you want to touch about? Okay, so if someone can't basically grow their food, and then you mentioned frozen, I think you're right. A lot of people assume that frozen vegetables or foods are not good for them. I eat frozen vegetables because again, I don't have time to cook, to basically cut, and then it's easier, and I find that it's easier for me to just put it in a container, warm it up, and eat. So I still get my vegetables in that way, and it's not expensive. Like, but on the flip side, some food are expensive. Some are expensive. And I also think it depends on where you live. Like if you live in the middle of nowhere, getting that healthy food may be more expensive than other regions. But then that option is that if you have enough space, you do want to consider maybe basically growing your own food.
You could 100%. And I mean, canning is becoming more popular because like during the winter, depending where you live, maybe people
What do
would
you
say,
mean
oh,
by
like,
canning? Step back. You say
oh,
I know you
oh,
can.
sorry.
I know it cans, but what do you mean by canning?
People are like, you can preserve. So over the summer,
Mhm.
spring, fall, you can grow food. But if someone says, okay, I'll grow my own food, what about during the winter? Well, theoretically, what's becoming more popular is canning. So you pull those vegetables, fruits that you've grown when it's warmer out,
Mhm.
and you preserve them. So you can, like, a lot of people use mason jars. I have not done it myself, but you can preserve those and keep them. So during the winter, when you can't grow all that stuff, depending where you live, you can still have the stuff that you grew and you can still eat it.
I like that. I've never like I think I've heard of canning, but I don't think I've actually correlated to to preserving the food for yourself going forward.
Yeah. I mean, it takes time, but that is, some people have more time, some people have more money. So it's like what works for you, then you have some options potentially.
I like what you're saying. And I think, a lot of people watching or listening to us saying, okay, I get the idea that, healthy eating doesn't have to be expensive. But what do you say to those people that want to stick with organic food, want to stick with what they consider, current fad in society, and they can't afford that, and they choose not to have anything less? Like, what do you say to those people?
If you ignore what the media says, you look at what professionals say. I don't think I've ever heard a professional in nutrition say otherwise. What I hear most say, and I agree with, it is so much like just eat the vegetable, just eat the fruit. Like it is the benefit of that, organic or not, is so much more than not eating it at all.
Fair enough.
And you can sit and debate organic and go into that, and we don't need to do that. But like, I just want to be clear, it's not, I don't see it as a all or nothing. It must be organic or no, like fruits and vegetables have so much awesome nutrients and so much value in them. Eat them, eat whatever you can get.
No, because I'm sorry, I went quiet for a second. I think for me, a lot of people are so sold on organic food. And a lot of people are so sold on the fact that, okay, you know what, if I can't get that, then I'm not eating healthy. But you're right, like it's not one or none. You basically, eating that vegetable or eating something is going to help you. So don't look at what current fads are happening or what your favorite celebrity is eating and thinking you have to replicate their lifestyle. They got more money than you. Okay. Let's just be clear. They got more money than you. So stop trying to keep up with the Kardashians. Okay. They can afford it more than us. But I think, the simple terms, any form of vegetables is the best thing. And if it's in a can, also watch for the sugar. Okay. Let's just watch for the sugar. But in a can or in frozen, it's a better option than not eating healthy without eating. It's a better option than not eating healthy at all, is what I understood, Paige.
And yeah, and I want to be clear too. Like I see extremes of no vegetables, or I must have organic, I must have this, I must have this. What we're talking about, like canned and frozen, they're not like well, it's okay. No, they still have value. Like I said with the frozen, they are picked when they are ripe and they are frozen. Like they are nutrient dense. The canned, maybe some more processing sometimes, like they add random stuff, but there are lots of canned that don't have things added at all. So I just don't want people. Yeah. I don't want people
Sorry,
to
go
walk
ahead.
away.
Go ahead.
I just don't want anybody to walk away thinking like, oh, it's not valuable. No, it is. It's not like, I don't know, it's not inferior, is what I want to make sure I'm making clear on my end.
No, I understood that. And I think also when you mentioned that, sometimes in can they do add additives or stuff like that. This is where you have to take the initiative to look at what has been added, what the ingredients are, and making sure that, you're picking the right food product or right food can or frozen vegetables that you're picking it, making sure that's quality, because there's good quality and there's bad quality. We all know that.
And you can just look and see, hey, is nothing added? Does it just say green beans? Does it just say corn? Just carrots? Cool. That's the choice I would pick.
100%. And I think if anybody was interested in, learning more about, how to eat healthy without it being expensive, or learning more about, what you offer, what's the best platform to reach you out on?
I go to my website. They can go to startfuelingbetter.com. And every couple months I do free events where they can get more information. So they can check that out. I'm always updating the page for the next event. They can go to startfuelingbetter.com/event, EVENT.
Perfect. I'm going to add that there. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, I think before we let you go, anything else you want to add or anything else you want to mention that's coming up next for you that you want to share?
Well, I mean, I don't know when we're airing, but like I'll probably have a new event, a free event coming up then. So that's why I threw out that page, because and for me, I just don't want people to feel like everything has to be so difficult. Everything has to be so expensive. So that's why I'm like, don't listen to celebrities. Like if you want to come to a free event, do it. Get some information that is useful, that doesn't lead to more fear around food and like all the rules that people feel like they have to follow.
No, I like what you said, because it's true. Like I think a lot of people stop or prevent themselves from eating healthy because they automatically assume they're not getting enough for their buck of money. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you don't have that expense to do on extra or maybe consider expensive healthy food, as you mentioned, there's alternatives to eating healthy that don't affect your bottom line, is what I understood.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you compare to, like, if you really tear it apart, you can see that like spending $2 on a soda that doesn't really do anything for you. Oh, I could have spent $2 somewhere else. Like the crazy prices of drinks nowadays, like a drink, like there's some places we can change how we're spending money. And like, if we really compare.
Fair enough. I appreciate that. I want to say thank you for having this conversation with me. We're glad to have you join us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share with anyone that needs to be empowered and inspired. And don't forget to join us next week for the next episode of Health Your Way podcast. Have a good day, you guys.